Check out Comic Book Illuminati and Outright Geekery. It's in the description.
Hey everyone, this is a review on X-Men Avengers Onslaught, a comic book series that took place in the 1990s, and Onslaught was a new villain, and it helped usher in the Heroes Reborn universe, which we'll talk about later in the review, and let's check it out. This is a review on the X-Men Avengers Onslaught Omnibus. It is a huge, about 1,000-page omnibus volume book, and let's just take a look at the outside first before we get to the details. If you notice the back of the volume of the omnibus, it does not have all those little single issues, which I thought was a better back dust jacket cover than just a single image. This is the regular version. There is a direct market with a different cover, but check this out. This is really unique. The inner jacket, or the inner cover, look at that. Usually it was just a blank cover under, but that's really nice. I'm going to remove the dust jacket here, continue the review. And let's just check it out. I'll show you the X-Men Avengers Onslaught. You see, there's a whole bunch of writers and artists in this multi-issue crossover, from Jeff Loeb, Scott Lundell, John Ostrander, DeFalco, David, Larry Hama, Howard Mackey, and more. It had some of the great pencilers from the 90s, though. It had Joe Madureira, Ian Churchill, Adam Kubert, Mike Deodato Jr., Adam Pellania, and just a whole bunch of inkers. Scott Hanna, Tim Townsend, Mark Morales, Chad Hunt. It's just, it's a whole crew of writers and pencilers. So it's not fair to give credit to one particular head version of who is the majority of this book. Anyway, check out the description for all the issues that are included in this volume, because it is a lot of books. Getting to the review, this volume includes the early setup, like the road to Onslaught, as well as the Onslaught storyline, and the conclusion from this big epic series. And what is Onslaught about? Well, kind of a spoiler if you didn't know already, is Professor X, Professor Charles Xavier, leader of the X-Men. Well, he manifests a projection that becomes the evil Onslaught, that becomes its own entity. And earlier in the series, before this took place, is Professor X wiped out Magneto's mind. So the original idea was that Onslaught is Professor Charles Xavier's repressed side. But then they diluted it, the Marvel writers, and he became the manifestation of the evil of Magneto that Professor X absorbed in his mind, as well as Professor X's repressed side, and somehow that mixture created Onslaught. It's kind of weird. I hope that setup made sense. It has some great art by some really 90s standouts like Joe Madureira, Adam Kubert, Ian Churchill, stuff like that. I just want to show you 1 second of how huge this book is, okay? It is almost 2.5 inches thick on pages. And it is just about 1,000 pages or over. So it's a huge book. Hopefully it's going to come in clear enough. It's hard to review these massive books sometimes. And the paper quality is good. It uses this new Marvel Omnibus paper quality. It's kind of thin, but it is still high quality. And it is their new format on the volumes they've been making recently. Joe Madureira art here. Really huge volume. You see, I really can't give credit to one particular artist, because there is just so many different issues with so many different styles in it. This is one of the, you'll see the revealing issues here. Really good quality image here. Check this out. classic. And it does give the proper setup to the whole storyline here. Check that out. Basically how this all ties up is in the 90s, some deal was cut with Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee to reboot some of these Avengers books, like Captain America, the Avengers, Iron Man, the Hulk. And so they put him in their own universe called Heroes Reborn. And so how did they have to justify it storyline wise? Well, in this crossover book, the X-Men and the Avengers are fighting Onslaught, and to vanquish him, the Avengers groups have to make a sacrifice. They blink out of existence, and that justified the Marvel Heroes Reborn event. And so basically Onslaught was sort of just an excuse to get there. You can see the different art styles here. Check that out. Some really good art here. X-Men as well as the Avengers books. So it's tough to single out which specific event you could consider this. Look at that art. Really nice. And I'm going to have a closing statement in regard to what I think of this series. Is it worth a purchase or not? But overall, still pretty fun. I'm checking this out. Take a look. And definitely for a 90s fan. 90s storyline. See, I mean, you'll get a lot of reading out of this. Expensive book, but you'll be reading this for days or weeks if you take your time with it. Just a huge volume. And check that out. The final books of the series, Onslaught here. And it follows up, even has some of the aftermath, which is pretty good. So it gives you the beginning, middle of the story, as well as the follow-up at the end. And let's just skip to the end here. Some of the nice detailing in the background, stuff like that on the extras. And really nice. So that's my review of the X-Men Avengers Onslaught. This is the dust jacket, and this is my final word on the subject. So you might ask, Rob, what did you think of X-Men Avengers Onslaught? I think it's a mixed bag. First of all, the book technically is $125. That is one of the more expensive omnibus material. It's usually in the $99 range, and I thought this book should have been in that range overall. But with that said, you know, I don't pay that price, and for that price I don't think it's worth it if you paid that much. I got it online discounts. You could get it maybe the $60 to $80 range, something like that. You could check on eBay, Amazon, Tales of Wonder. You have options, but I've never bought an omnibus at retail price, and you shouldn't either. They're usually, again, 30 to 40% off, and that's why it pays to buy the book ahead of time, because sometimes these books go out of print and they go up in value in terms of if you want to buy it, then it's going to cost more. But if you buy it when it's out, it's going to cost cheaper with online discounts. Another negative is these books are heavy. Man, if you go to the store and you carry this home, it's pretty heavy. That's why if you order online, you get it delivered right to your door, okay? And the book, to be new, has to be in the shrink wrap. If it's not in the shrink wrap, then it's probably been opened or used, technically, so that's something to consider. So if you're buying it from like an eBay seller, you could ask, you know, is it in the shrink wrap still? But other retailers, if it says new, it's probably new. So I just want to make that caution about it. And with that said, let's talk about the book. So I said the price is very expensive. The content, even though I think it's a mixed bag, because this was a 1990s storyline. It was before the Heroes Reborn universe. And it was kind of an excuse to set that up. And Onslaught, I thought it was a villain who has been around, sort of. You hear about the character once in a while. I just thought the book series could have been better. You know, when you have a whole bunch of different artists and writers, it's very hard to get a consistent flow in terms of the book, because you have all of these different interpretations that could vary wildly from characterization and how the story flows. This storyline took some dramatic turns in art. I thought some of the artists I liked and some I didn't. Some of the writers I liked and some I didn't. So it is that mixed bag, you know, expensive price, mixed bag of quality. And the thing is, for me, at least personally, I liked it was because I had some, but not all of these issues. It was one of those storylines I grew up on. It was one of the things that I followed in the 1990s, and it was a pretty good era for me, collecting. So I really bought it for that nostalgia type of feel. That's why I want the book. And it didn't disappoint in that. You know, if you were a 1990s fan or bought comics then you probably enjoy this. But if you're a new fan of comic books, or you're into the comic books right now, I don't think you would have a joy or an appreciation of this material. And it is a pretty expensive commitment to try out a book that you have no idea if you're going to like it or not. I hope this review helped. I didn't want to spoil all the major details, but you could look at the art pages, some of the writing maybe, you could decide for yourself. And so let me know what you think. You like this review? Want to see more of these type of stories?